In today's show, previewing the Blazers matchup with the Sacramento Kings, Scoot Henderson's availability, and what to watch for when the Blazers kick off a road trip in Sacramento. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You are listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you Monday through Friday, each and every weekday. So make it a part of your daily routine and tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we are going to preview the matchup with the Kings, everything you need to know from the injury report. Scoot Henderson's name is on it, to what the Kings have been up to and what the Blazers can expect when they kick off a 3-game road trip in Sacramento. And we'll close the show with a new segment called You'd Love to See It. Some ideas for the Blazers to jumpstart or at least experiment with their worst offense in the league. What are they going to do? Be worse? They're already 30th. I've got some experimentation and some goals in the segment that I'll offer up in the final segment of the show, in the things you'd love to see, because you really would love to see it if it happens. Here's what you need to know. Let's start there for the Kings matchup. The way it is now for the Blazers, one of the most important things is the ding-dang injury report. Every time is out till December. That's going to be there. Rob Williams is out for a long time, potentially the rest of the season, and we will get some clarity on what direction him and his people have decided to go in the near future. But several months to the rest of the year. So Rob Williams is on there for a long time. Ish Smith remains on the injury report with a calf injury, but Scoot is the big one, right? Because in many ways, this season it's not like solely about this, but it is importantly about Scoot's development, right? Like an important part of this season is how Scoot Henderson can develop and take steps to becoming a good NBA player. And not playing makes it harder to take those steps. So his name still being on there is a bummer, but I don't think it is like this deeply held conspiracy. He's missed a week. Like he has a sprained ankle, and this will be a week out of action. That's not a crazy long time. The Blazers have this weird road trip. They're kicking off this road trip, as I mentioned, in Sacramento. That's on Wednesday. Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they have off before Sunday and Tuesday. They play the Lakers on Sunday in LA, and Tuesday they play the Jazz in Salt Lake City. That's an in-season tournament game, so we'll look out for a funky court in that one. Blazers probably be back. I assume they'll travel back. They're usually a stay-over team, so they'll stay over Wednesday night, travel back to Portland on Thursday, hang out Friday, travel to LA on Saturday. So they're actually a road trip where they'll be back in town. It'll be even more air miles, but at least they'll get to sleep in their own beds for a couple nights. If Scoot were to come back Sunday, he would have 11 days off from the injury. I think Sunday is a day to say, like, yeah, that to me makes sense for when he would return. If he's not available in that one, I don't know. It's not like reason to panic or anything, but it would be just like, oh, this is probably a bigger thing. If you miss more than 10 days, then it's like, oh, this is maybe like a more serious injury than we know about. But a week from a sprained ankle is like, yeah, you miss 4 games because you sprained your ankle. It's basketball. It happens. I don't think this is just an observation. This is like not a maybe not even meaningful to you if you don't work in the media, but I do work in the media a little bit, or at least I do some work in the media space. But I don't think the Blazers help themselves by the way they do the amount of information they give out on publicly about injuries. The way that they release information is very limited. They only put out like formal press releases when something really bad happens. It's like here you go, here's a press release, it's really bad. And the press release about injuries always is like, it's very bad news. But when it's just like a run of the mill, like, hey, he's gonna miss 10 days, they the information they put out publicly is a little bit, I mean, not a ton, no one in the league is really, really open with this stuff. But the Blazers are particularly bad with publicly sharing information about injuries. They keep a tight lip on it. And Chauncey Billups, to his credit, often is the person who offers the most clarity, but he'll usually say things like, yeah, he's day to day. We'll see. We'll see. And then you have to parse it. The worst example of this is that they were so bad with what they did, how they kind of addressed the strange Gary Payton injury, that eventually Chauncey Billups kind of had to say, in many ways, throw GP under the bus. That was its own different thing. But it's just weird. It's weird with it. So speaking of that, here's what we know from Chauncey Billups. Scoot Henderson has worked out prior to each of the last couple home games. When I was at Friday's game against the Memphis Grizzlies, he worked out. He was all taped up, he was out there getting at least some version of it, shooting workout in, and he was watching film with Pooh Jeter and with Coach Steve Hetzel. And they're pouring over film, and even at one point Hetzel got up and kind of showed him a pivot move, and from the way he pivoted, I think it was how to deal with a screen when it comes, if you want to spin away and reject a screen and stuff like that. That was my read on the way that they were working together. But Scoot's working, right? He's working. And Billups told reporters, and I saw this reported by Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian, that Scoot has not gone through a full workout. So he's doing shooting stuff, but he had not gone, at practice, he had not gone through a full workout. He's getting closer, doing more, but had not gone through a full workout. It just stinks. It's a bummer. It's not, again, no reason to panic. The only reason you would panic is because the Blazers have been so consistently bizarre with injury information that when they don't share stuff, it makes you think it could be worse than it is. But they're not alone among teams that don't share injury information. They just have a recent example of this type of thing going really bad for them. But the injury report is the biggest thing. The other thing matters is the matchup, right? It's not, I don't know if it's the biggest thing, but it's a big thing right now. Scoot's availability is paramount to the season and all of that. But the matchup with the Kings is a curiously winnable game because the Kings are scuffling to begin the season. They have not been good, and they're missing De'Aaron Fox. Let's talk about in the ways in which they haven't been good and what's been going on in Sacramento and how they match up with the Trailblazers. We'll do all of that in the second segment. But first, I want to tell you that today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy made easy. I play Prize Picks on my phone. But you can also do it on prizepicks.com if you're not an app person. But I like the app. It's super easy to use. I can make an entry in under 2 minutes. Sometimes I'm a little choosier. It maybe takes me 3.5 minutes, but super, super quick, super easy to use. And here's how it works. You pick between 2 and 6 players on every entry that you make. You can mix and match sports. So you can right now, over the weekend, you could play the NBA and NFL games. You could play NBA and NHL games. But for me, I'm most comfortable with the NBA. So I'm picking between 2 and 6 players, and it's just you versus the projections set by Prize Picks. Things like rebounds, points, steals, assists. Prize Picks sets the lines, and you just pick more or less than the projections that they got out there. And it's not you versus the field or sharks or all of those things, just you versus the numbers that Prize Picks has out there. So why not get started today? Take advantage of how fun it is and how fun and simple it is. Plus, get a little money at prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the promo code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That means when you sign up at prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and you use that code LockedOnNBA, you can get a $1 match up to $100. Put in $50 and they match you $50. Put in $20, they'll match you $50, whatever it is. But you got to use that promo code LockedOnNBA, and you got to go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. It's Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. All right. So, matchup with the Kings. The Scuffling Kings. The Scuffling Kings coming back home after getting walloped in back-to-back games. The Scuffling Kings missing their point guard. But the Scuffling Kings coming back home after getting beat down. They have lost 3 in a row, all without De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox got injured at the end of their matchup against the Lakers. The Kings held on and won that game against the Lakers. Malik Monk was great. Kevin Huerter hit a couple late threes, and the Lakers only play close games, and sometimes they lose them, and they lost that when the Kings delivered late against the Lakers. Then Kings play another close game and barely lose to the Warriors at the buzzer. That game, De'Aaron Fox did not play, and Klay Thompson hits a buzzer beater, and sometimes that's that unlucky. 2 good teams, the Lakers. I think the Lakers are good. My impression is that the Lakers are good, and I think the Warriors are also pretty darn good. But they lose those 2 games. Then they come back and they face the Rockets twice. And the Rockets just wipe the court with them, beat them by 18. And they come back and beat them by 25. Just 2 beatdowns, and a beat like coming off. You lose to the Rockets at home lose to the Rockets on the road by 18. Okay, well, hey, it happens. It's the NBA. You're going to get blown out some nights, whatever. That's why we play 82 of these things, because some nights you're just not going to have it. They come back and they get walloped again. Domantas Sabonis has really struggled. Harrison Barnes really struggled in the second matchup, and the offense has not been as good as it's been. Last year, they were the best offense in the history of the league in terms of points per possession efficiency. That has more to do with the era, like the historical context, like the greatest offense of all time. I think it would need to be like relative to the league to be meaningful. What the Kings had was a damn good offense last year. They were awesome, and they're still playing to whom they want to be. They play fast. They shoot a ton of threes. 42.5 threes per game, the second most three-point attempts in the NBA this season. Like, they're going to run and they're going to get shots up. That's the real truth. I think a key for them is that De'Aaron Fox is so crucial, has been so consistently crucial to kind of getting them what they want to do. And last year they won a bunch of close games because De'Aaron Fox was so darn clutch. They could just get into the half court and he could go score. But they still spread the court out and shoot a ton of threes. And without him, Davion Mitchell starting, Kevin Huerter starting, Malik Monk's going to play some guard minutes off the bench. They're still going to spread you out, and they're going to try to run offense through Sabonis as a handoff hub. When he is a hub, he is the crucial to what they do. Like when he is playmaking and scoring and rebounding, he's an all-star, right? Like he gets them going even without Fox. But Fox is in there. He's like, he's one of the best offensive players in the league. But even without him, their style is very similar. Spread you out, play through Sabonis at the high post, play him out of the post, particularly on the right block, so he can use his left hand because he's super duper left-handed. He's a good passer. He has good touch with that left hand. He's physical as heck when he gets down into the post, and they want to shoot a ton of threes. Here is a stat courtesy of Matt George, host of Locked On Kings. Matt does a great job over at Locked On Kings. If you want to check out that show, strong recommend. Matt's truly one of the best. Matt shared this on social media today. The Kings lead the NBA with 25.3 wide open threes generated a night. 25.3. That means of the 42 they're taking, 42 and a half, let's round up. Let's call it 43 they're taking. 25 of them are wide open. That means no defender within 6 feet. They are generating good looks. They just haven't made them. They're making just 35, basically 36 if you round up, 35.6% of their wide open threes. That's the 22nd best mark in the league among shots without a defender within 6 feet, according to NBA.com. Thanks, Matt, for sharing this one. That reads to me that the Kings are due for one of those nights where they make them. Good process usually leads to good results over the long haul, and the 2-4 Kings seem to be generating it's a pretty good process, right? Generating a bunch of open looks from three. That seems to be good process. Is this a get-right game? I don't know. I don't know if it's a get-right game for the Kings. Maybe the Kings aren't going to get right, but I think this is a team that is coming off 2 bad road losses, coming back home, after a day off, and that has an offense that was excellent last season, has basically all of the same parts, and has been doing what they want to do, generate good-looking shots from three. It's a little bit scary. I would say that's a little bit scary. The other thing to know in general about your beloved Kings, which I think it's a little early. For me, it's a little early to cite like offensive and defensive rating, but the Kings are a bottom 10 offense and a bottom 10 defense right now through their first 6 games. The offense just has not been good. It was really special last year. It has not been good yet. In terms of how they match up with the Blazers, they're gonna play pretty big. Like DeMontis Sabonis is going to start, so they're going to play a traditional center. They don't, their forwards are Keegan Murray and Harrison Barnes, so they're not like gigantic at the 4 and the 5, but they're going to play big off the bench too, because JaVale McGee plays, and that's just that is a challenge right now for the Portland Trailblazers because they don't have that many bigs, right? Like that's. Without Rob Williams, they don't have a ton of bigs. Like, you're not going to get a ton of minutes of JaVale, but you're going to get a little bit of it, and then they're going to play a little bit of small ball maybe in there too. But for the most part, they keep a traditional center. In the games that have been competitive, they kept a traditional center on the court at all times. You're going to get JaVale, and you're going to get Sabonis, which means that the Blazers are probably going to have to make a decision to play a real center off the bench, whether that's Duop Reith, the two-way guy who's yet to appear, would be making his NBA debut, or Moses Brown, who would be making his what I'll call re-debut with the Blazers after some two-way appearances in his rookie season in the league. And Moses Brown has not played yet, although he has been on the active roster because he has an NBA deal, not a two-way deal. Just because the other option, the option the Blazers have been more comfortable with, has been going with Jabari Walker and Toumani Camara up front. And Walker is maybe like nominally the 5, but it's like you're playing a small front line with Camara and Walker. I think like it's not like JaVale McGee's going to post up, so that's not what you're worried about. What you're worried about is offensive rebounding. Can you survive that? And the lobs, right? There's like. Because JaVale is still long and big, and also, hold on, real quick. JaVale McGee wears 00 and a headband. He looks like freaking Willie Cauley McGee out there. Every time I've watched the Kings this year, I've watched like 3 halves of their games. I've not watched an entire game yet, but I watched that Laker game and I watched that Warriors game. I watched second half of both those. But like, every time I see JaVale, I think it's freaking Willie Cauley-Stein. I can't stop. But I think the problem matchup-wise is the vertical threat. Like, is pick and roll, dive to the rim, throw it up top. It's not like Toumani Camara won't try to get up there and make it an issue. It's just like, can JaVale get up to 12 and a half feet still? Yeah, probably he can. I don't know if the Blazers can go small and make that happen. I don't know that Moses Brown is a solution there, but at least he's big. Like, the thing that Moses Brown is very, very large. Skinny, but very large. So I think that's a matchup to know. I think I think the Ayton and Sabonis matchup is fun. And I think that quite frankly, I think that the Harrison Barnes and Jeremy Grant matchup is fun. Kings play fast. They shoot a ton of threes. The Blazers, you can't really prevent a team from taking threes. That's not how the league works. If the Kings want to shoot 43s, they're going to shoot 43s. You can limit their attempts a little bit. Like, you probably cut them down to, like, if you really lock them up, you cut them down to like 33, but they're going to take 35 threes. Even if they have a night where you play really good defense, they're going to take 35 threes. Like, it's just, you can do a little bit to limit their attempts. It's just like, how many in rhythm good looks do they get? They've generated a bunch of open ones. I think that's crucial, and I think that big man matchup off the bench will be interesting to see how the Blazers play that. But I got some other ideas. What I'll call, you'd love to see it. I was going to call it, wouldn't it be nice, but I don't want the Beach Boys to sue me. You'd love to see it. Here's some things I would love to see in this matchup with the Kings. Hint, hint. Give DeAndre Ayton the rock. or at least let him shoot the dang ball. Let's talk about things I'd love to see, and you'd love to see it too against the Sacramento on Wednesday in the third segment to close the show. First, let me tell you that today's show brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And right now is a great time to get involved with FanDuel. If you are a first-time user, I got great news for you, because new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So right now on FanDuel, the Blazers are dogs. They are dogs to win. 7.5 point underdogs. You could get the Blazers, as I'm looking at it right now, at plus 220 to win the game on the money line. You bet $5 on the Blazers to win. They get that win in Sacramento. It's $150. Bonus bets. Then you can bet on everything, from spreads to player props to over-unders and more, not just money line bets, but whatever you want to do to take advantage of this offer. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. You don't want to bet on the Blazers. You don't want to bet with your heart. You want to bet with your brain. Well, guess what? We're looking at a whole weekend full of NFL games. I've really been pimping out that Germany game for the Colts, but Week 10 doesn't just have games in Germany. It's got Panthers Bears on Thursday night. That's a 1-win team and a 2-win team. How about it? How about if you're a new customer, go make a $5 bet on the money line at FanDuel.com/LockedOnNBA. Get your bonus bets, $150. FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Kick off the NFL season. Check out FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. We talked about the Kings matchup. Talked about Sabonis struggling and him playing as a hub and them generating a whole bunch of threes, and JaVale McGee's size off the bench will challenge what the Blazers do with their backup big man minutes. Let's not focus on the Kings. I mean, we're still focusing on the Kings, because that's the game. Tonight, you're listening to Wednesday, November 8th episode. Hope you got out there and voted. Or if you live in Oregon, I hope you sent your ballot in. But let's talk about things you'd love to see. Talk about things you'd love to see in this game. Here's some things I'd love to see. I'd love to see Deandre Ayton shoot the ball 14 times. His season high for field goal attempts is 13. Portland has the worst offense in the league. They're last in the NBA in points per possession. Their offensive rating, 30th. Ayton is an imperfect player. You can't really throw it to him in the post. One, shooting issues. There's just like, the Blazers don't have shooters. He'll get double teams. They'll send 4 guys around him in the paint. They will help off shooters, or non-shooters in this case. One, he can be a little slow, and he wants to get to that right-handed hook, so he can be a little slow and deliberate. He's not always acting super quick. And Ayton is not a great passer. So when the double team does come, if you don't act super quick, and he can go up really quickly as mid-range jump shot. He's not as fast with his post moves, but certainly he could get there. But because he's not a great passer, when the double team comes, it's like you don't get the advantage of creating a double team, right? You don't get the scramble, you don't get cutters as easily, because it's just like he's not a natural passer out of the post. It's not his skills. Like, it is what it is. He's an imperfect player. But the Blazers' offense is the worst in the NBA. What is there to lose by getting Deandre Ayton 14 shot attempts? Some of that's on him. Shoot the ball. Like, go be aggressive and shoot the ball. Demand the ball in the post. I mentioned this in a previous show, but I think the big problem with the Blazers is like, they're missing some pick and roll guys. More on that in a second. So they don't have like a great operator with DA as a pick and roll player. You know, they're down their best pick and roll point guards. Brogdon has really struggled as a pick and roll guard. He's good. Creates his own shot off the dribble, gets himself to the rim, but he has not been super effective as a pick and roll playmaker. Although he's made some awesome passes coming off screens this year that his teammates have not cashed in on. Certainly the best passer on the roster by a wide margin, currently healthy. So, like, you're just not going to get some of it is DA's challenges as his, like, with his skill sets. But what if they could find him mid-range jumpers? Like, what if they run more actions? And I'd like to see this. This is a thing I would love to see, is actions that have engaged 3 players off the ball, or at least 2 of them off the ball, as while DA is getting into a side pick and roll. So you have the far weak side, have the guys switch places, have them screen for each other, have one of them set a flare, have one of them set a pin down. So those players have to be engaged and can't help as easily. And then have Ayton cut his roll short because that's where he's comfortable with, and take a mid-range jumper. Have him shoot 14 shots. I'd love to see it. I love to see him just be aggressive. Some of that's on him. Some of that's on the coaching staff to get him in better spots. It's a combo for sure. I think this is a little more, it's nuanced, right? Because it's his own skill set. It's the skill set of his coworkers. And I don't think the Blazers have I think the plan that the Blazers had for Deandre Ayton was he's going to run pick and rolls with Anthony Simons. He's going to be pretty good at it. And then Anthony Simons got hurt, and it's like, huh. And then it's like, he's going to run pick and rolls with Scoot, and they're going to figure it out. And then Scoot gets hurt, and it's like, huh, well, okay, you're down to plan C now. Plan C's got to be like, let's just get Deandre shots. Let's get him shots. Let's figure out how to get him shots. Even if maybe pick and rolls aren't the spot. I don't love the, like, elbow touch ISO jump shot. That's just a hard shot for him, even though he would love it. He would be totally comfortable with it. It's just hard. So little pick and rolls, or little, even a post isolation. Here's what I'd love to see. Blazers used to do this all the time last year. I'll tell you what, I won some money betting on this. Yusuf Nurkic would get the first shot of every game. They would run various little cross screens for him. Particularly, he would set a down screen to bring a guy up. Then they'd set a cross screen. They'd swing the ball during that cross screen. So it's like he's on the far side. He sets a pin down. The player comes up to the top of the key. Nurkic is on the far side of the block, or on the strong side to begin with. The ball rotates to the weak side. They set a screen and bring Nurk over to what is now the strong side where the ball is, and run a post up for him. So there's 4 or 5 players movement. There's multiple screens, and then he just gets to shoot it. Sometimes he would score. I'd be betting on Yusuf Nurkic first bucket, but like, if nothing else, he just gets a shot right away. He gets to feel like he's involved. And I think they need to do more of that for Deandre Ayton. So that's what I'd love to see. The other thing I'd love to see is Shaedon Sharpe run pick and rolls. He's done it a little bit. He's been really good shooting behind screens on pick and rolls. He's really comfortable there. He is not a high-level passer. So, like, saying like, oh yeah, just put him in pick and roll, it's probably actually not that good of a plan. I totally recognize this, because he doesn't make high level reads, like, several layers of the defense, reading the help. Okay, the help's going to be here. Well, there's going to be, like, he just doesn't make those yet. But the way he can learn to make those is by running them. And I'll say it again, the offense already sucks. What's the risk? What are you going to do? Be the worstest? They're already bad. This is a development, this is just like development investment in Shaedon Sharpe, right? Development investment in Shaedon Sharpe. Right now, he, according to the tracking data from NBA.com, he's running 4.7 pick and rolls per game. The league leaders are running in the low double digits. Cade Cunningham running 12.6 screens a game. The league leaders are in the double digits. Trae Young's running like 10 or 11. That's sort of the number for like the high volume guys. About 10 pick and roll ball handler plays a game, where it's like, let me go operate. Shaedon's running half of that. Let's meet in the middle. Let's call it 7. 8? Maybe 8 generously? Let's call it 8. Malcolm Brogdon, according to NBA.com stats, 9 pick and roll actions a game as the primary ball handler. Let's get Sharpe up to 8. Let's get him 8 pick and rolls. Let's get him pick and rolls with Deandre Ayton. Let's get the shooting of Shaedon Sharpe, when he's a pretty comfortable off the dribble shooter, as taking mid-range jumpers and taking threes. Sabonis is probably most comfortable playing low off screens. He'll come up a little bit. He will be at the level, but let Sharp go at Domantas Sabonis a lot as a screener. Let him go at JaVale McGee a lot as a screener. Let DA be the guy who sets those screens and try to spread him out. Can you run? The Blazers do not really have a way to put enough shooting on the floor for it to be Shaedon Sharpe and DeAndre Ayton and shooters. Like, they just don't. Toumani Kamara's not a shooter yet. Matisse Thybulle's not a shooter yet. Walker's not a shooter yet. You're always going to have someone that people are comfortable helping off of and pick and rolls. And like I said, Sharpe isn't this crazy passer yet. But when he ran a bunch of on-ball opportunities at the end of last year, he showed that he was he didn't make great passes, but he made the reads, right? Like he physically knew where to pass the ball, even if the pass itself was a little off target. I'd love to see it. You'd love to see it. More Shaedon Sharpe pick and rolls, more DeAndre Ayton. I don't have a great plan for him. More movement sets where he sets a pick and roll on the side, not in the middle of the court, because it's easier to help in the middle of the court off non-shooters. In real life, like in the modern NBA offenses, it's harder to help in the middle because of shooting. But empty side pick and rolls is like a really common action, right? You clear out one side and run a pick and roll so the help has further to come. I think that's the movement that sets up those empty side pick and rolls is the way to get DA going in some form or fashion. It's not perfect, but it's there. And I want to see Shaedon Sharpe operate with the ball in his hands as a pick and roll decision maker, as a lead guard decision maker. That might, like, legitimately, I want to say this about the Sharpe thing, and then I'll get out of here. That might be worse than running Shaedon Sharpe off pin downs. Like, it might be a worse outcome. But they're already awful on offense, and I want him to develop into the next thing. And what better time to, like, while Scoot is out and while Ant is out, this is the time to kind of like let Shaedon Sharpe spread his wings. Do it. Let him spread his wings. Let my man soar. If he flies too close to the sun, they'll end up where they are right now, which is 30th in offense. It's fine. Okay, Wednesday show, you listen to it now, is the Kings. They play the Kings tonight. Thursday, we will talk about the Kings game. Friday, we'll look ahead to the matchup with the Lakers, which is on Sunday, and we'll talk other fun stuff from around the league. That's what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, and also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.